Well, it's a beautiful evening out here in North Idaho, and I'm going to take you on a quick tour of some doweled rail fencing. So as you can see behind me here, it runs along the main road, comes up to the driveway, corners, and then goes into this awesome archway. One thing that is important in designing an entrance like this, you want to have enough room between the main road and your archway or your gate, especially if there is a gate, that you can pull off the road with a pickup and horse trailer and park, get out, open the gate. In this case, there is no gate, so that factor doesn't matter so much, but it still looks really nice to have that setback. Have your fence come along the road, and then you can even do a curve into the archway, or you can do more of a square corner like this one is here. When you're doing doweled rail fencing, there's a couple options of posts and rails. You can do 5-inch posts or 6-inch posts. Some manufacturers do a 5.5-inch. These ones here are 6-inch posts, and they look better, in my opinion, and they're also more durable, and they're going to last longer. One thing we like to do on our doweled rail fencing is screw in the ends of the top rail. We usually don't do all 3 rails. You could. We just especially like to do the top rail, help make it a little more secure and help keep a post from, leaning or some way to where a rail's going to pop out. One of the nice things about rail fencing, and this really goes for just about any rail fencing, is that you can do curves, you can do sweeps. So along here, like right here, it just kind of curves back behind that tree a little bit and then shoots straight for ways, goes to another curve up here. It's just really nice with rail fencing that you can do that. We recommend 8-foot rails versus 10-foot. This one's here is actually 10-foot. It really depends on what you want, and it also depends on the budget, because 8-foot spacing does cost more because you have to set more posts, but it holds up a little bit better because the rails are shorter. They're not going to warp quite as bad as 10-foot rails. So here's one of those rails that you can see is warped a bit, and that is one of the drawbacks to wood, is it's a natural product. Every piece of wood is a little bit different. They're gonna perform a little bit differently, and so you can just kind of count on it. If you've got a wood fence, plan on having a few issues like that. The alternative is to switch to a different product like steel, or a few other ones out there as well. So it curves and comes down the hill here, and then runs down there and ends. A big part of this fence was for the aesthetic value along the front road. And so right here, what we did was we just did one section at the end of it, kind of ties it all in where it starts and where it ends at both ends, and then it goes to the other type of fence along out in the pasture. All right, so here is the view from the road. As you can see, it just makes a really nice front to the property. I like to think of a fence a little bit like a picture frame, just kind of frames things in. You've got the pasture out behind there, the mountain up in the back, and between it all and the road is the fence. If you choose doweled rail fencing for your ranch, make sure that you're using treated posts and rails, because if they're not treated, they won't last very long at all. If they are treated, you can expect probably somewhere around 15 to 25 years for life expectancy. It depends on the soil, it depends on the climate, and it depends on that particular batch of posts. It also depends on the manufacturer and how good of a job they do with the treat process. One of the things about doweled rail fencing, though, is you can stain it. So if you want to, you can get wood defender stain and stain it to change the color to maybe more of a rustic brown. and also just to help preserve the wood longer.